It looks like 6ix9ine has hit rock bottom. The rapper, known for his colorful image and even more colorful controversies, is reportedly begging for money after losing everything. And when I say everything, I mean it. His fortune, his assets, and possibly even his freedom. This shocking turn of events has fans and critics alike wondering how things got so bad.
And it doesn't appear the New York rapper will be at home in time for Thanksgiving after he slapped with more jail time for violating the terms of his release from prison back in 2020. Daniel Hernandez, better known by his stage name Tekashi 6ix9ine, was initially thrown behind bars in late October for a number of violations. But what really threw the judge over the edge was the rapper showing up to court late with a not-so-great excuse. In February of 2019, Tekashi pleaded guilty to 9 federal counts, including conspiracy to commit murder and armed robbery. But he was sentenced to an astonishing 2 years in prison after he testified for the prosecution against other members of the 9 gang. The following year, in April of 2020, he was granted early release due to the COVID pandemic and his high risk of catching the virus with his asthma, and was placed on house arrest, but finished that sentence in August of 2020. But the Fifi rapper hasn't exactly been a choir boy since his early release. In October of last year, he was arrested in the Dominican Republic after being accused of beating up music producers.
Sources close to 6ix9ine have revealed that the rapper has been reaching out to friends, family, and even former business associates asking for financial help. According to insiders, his desperate pleas for money are a stark contrast to the flashy lifestyle he once flaunted on social media. The cars, the jewelry, the stacks of cash. It all seems like a distant memory now.
But Tekashi had a reason for being late to court. He just didn't wake up on time. Prosecutors also revealed the rapper tested positive for meth and blew off a drug test. But Tekashi's lawyer claimed it was a mix-up and that he tested positive for because he takes Adderall, which contains methamphetamine. Manhattan federal judge Paul Engelmeyer reportedly said the rapper's actions showed a broader pattern of misbehavior and first ordered Tekashi be thrown behind bars until his next court hearing. When that court hearing came, the rapper wasn't going home. Instead, he was sentenced to jail, and the judge ripped him a new one. He reportedly told the Brooklyn rapper, "Your break of the court's trust is profound. Bottom line, I see a pattern. 5 violations says you don't believe the rules apply to you. Maybe you believe that's because you're famous rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine." Before he was officially sentenced, Tekashi reportedly copped to all of his probation violations and admitted he ignored an order to go to drug treatment and used a controlled substance that he shouldn't have. He also admitted to leaving the jurisdiction without permission, then lying about it.
According to insider sources, 6ix9ine has been struggling financially after a series of poor business decisions, legal battles, and dwindling music sales. The rapper, whose real name is Daniel Hernandez, recently took to social media to ask his fans for financial support. In a now-deleted post, he wrote, "I've lost everything. I need help to get back on my feet." The plea has sparked a firestorm of reactions, with some fans offering support while others are criticizing him for his past actions and lavish lifestyle.
Tekashi's attorney, he claimed the rapper was in solitary confinement for 2 weeks and had only gotten 1 phone call and 2 showers. The judge recommended he be let out of solitary confinement, but if let out of confinement, there's another potential issue. His life could be in danger after he ratted on his fellow gang members. But for the Dumbo rapper, he reportedly appeared apologetic and pleaded with the judge that he learned his lesson. He reportedly told the judge, "I'm very sorry. I want to be back home with my mom and brother. I'm feeling like I let them down. I don't want you to get the wrong impression of me. I make a lot of bad mistakes. I don't go out of my way to break the law. I tried my best, but I can do better." But his apology wasn't enough, and the judge ordered he spend 45 days in jail with time served, a sentence that was more than what prosecutors sought out for. And it doesn't appear he'll be able to get back on stage once he's released. Tekashi was also sentenced to an additional year of supervised release and ordered to spend his first 2 months out of jail at home.
What led to this financial downfall? Well, it's a mix of bad decisions, legal battles, and a whole lot of burned bridges. 6ix9ine's legal troubles have been well documented. His time in prison, his cooperation with authorities, and the subsequent backlash from the hip-hop community all played a role in his current situation. Many of his former allies in the industry turned their backs on him, and without the support of the music community, his career took a major hit.
during the terms of his supervised release, which was supposed to last 5 years from when he got out of prison in 2020. He got into trouble somewhat in the Dominican Republic, and there were some other issues as well. I think certain aspects of this surprised me, but not the sort of overall arc of it, no.
And do you think that he just didn't take his probation seriously, knowing that he had this court date at a particular time and showed up not 5 minutes late, but an hour late? Do you think he wasn't expecting the judge to truly throw him back in prison?
I definitely think he wasn't expecting that. Look at how things went, right? He got 24 months when he was facing a potential much longer sentence, several decades. He even got out of the 24 months early because it was right in the early days of the pandemic and he had asthma. And so he got a release to, house arrest for.
But it's not just his reputation that's been damaged. Financial experts say that 6ix9ine may have mismanaged his money, spending extravagantly while his income dwindled. His streaming numbers have dropped. Concert bookings dried up, and endorsements disappeared. When you're living a lifestyle that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, a sudden stop in income can be devastating. Social media has exploded with reactions to the news, with hashtags like J69BEGS and shocking.
What do you make of Tekashi 6ix9ine's his excuse, I woke up late, but then in turn, he also pleaded with the judge not to send him back to the box. What do you make of just kind of his lax reasoning for not showing up to court on time, but then at the same token, knowing that there's always this possibility looming that he could go back to jail, he just pleaded with the judge not to send him back, probably in hopes that it actually wouldn't happen?
Sure. So the hour late to court was sort of already after there had been a number of problems, right? That happened as a result of a number of violations, which he ultimately pleaded guilty to, right? That was in New York when he was supposed to show up for a hearing. And, that certainly didn't do him any good, but the violations were already there. So even without showing up an hour late and having to, literally be arrested to make it to court, he might still have had the same outcome. This is the judge from the original case.
Turned trending worldwide. Fans of the rapper are expressing shock and concern, while critics are pointing to the situation as a stark reminder of the consequences of his choices. The revelations have reignited debates about 6ix9ine's career and whether he can bounce back from this low point. Memes, tweets, and videos are flooding the internet as people dissect every detail of his downfall and speculate about what's next for the embattled artist.
Devote my life to turning myself around and all this kind of stuff. And so I think he, in particular, was definitely disappointed to see, some of these violations and other stuff that have gone on.
Yeah, and as you mentioned before, Tekashi was already on thin ice since his release in 2020, arrested in the Dominican Republic, arrested in Florida for speeding. Prosecutors say he took an unsanctioned trip to Vegas for a concert. What do you make of his actions post-release, given that he was released in 2020? Now, 4 years later in 2024, he's back in jail. Why do you think this time was different from the other violations?
I mean, this seemed like, it kind of seemed like some of the stuff in the Dominican Republic, obviously it was public, but I don't know if it counted as violations of the supervised release because it was in another country. I think there was some ambiguity about that in the hearing and no one kind of wanted to dig too deep into it. It was a number of violations sort of all happened now. I think just a few months before he was set to, end the supervised release, right? He was coming to the end of this 5-year term.
And let's not forget his security costs. After cooperating with authorities, 6ix9ine had to invest heavily in personal security due to safety concerns. Those expenses alone could drain even a healthy bank account, and for someone struggling to make money, it's a financial nightmare. Let's take a closer look at how this story unfolded. 6ix9ine rose to fame in 2017 with his breakout hit Gummo, but his career has been marred by controversy from the start.
Tekashi 6ix9ine sentenced to jail after violating his probation. Last month, 6ix9ine was taken into federal custody for violating probation. Allegedly, he tested positive for marijuana and meth, traveled to Las Vegas without approval, and failed to show up for mandatory drug tests. He's reportedly being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, the same facility as Diddy, where he'll remain for the next few weeks. According to court documents obtained by XXL, 6ix9ine agreed to a plea deal earlier this week. He'll plead guilty to violating his supervised release terms and serve an additional 30 days in jail. He will also serve another year of probation. When 6ix9ine is released, he'll be on house arrest for 90 days and be monitored electronically. He's also barred from traveling internationally and must give up his passport. The rapper is scheduled to formally agree to these terms during his next court hearing on November 12th. Unfortunately, 6ix9ine was arrested just weeks after signing a massive deal with Cartel Records.
From his legal troubles, including a high-profile racketeering case that led to his cooperation with federal authorities, to his ongoing feuds with other artists, 6ix9ine has always been a polarizing figure. Despite his success, his career has been on a downward spiral in recent years, with declining album sales, canceled tours, and a tarnished reputation. The rapper reportedly told those around him that he feels abandoned and doesn't know where to turn.
Tekashi 6ix9ine is back behind bars tonight. The performer, whose real name is Daniel Hernandez, was arrested for allegedly violating the conditions of his supervised release. Hernandez was out on bail after pleading guilty and testifying against a violent gang. Today, the judge ordered he be held until November 12th at the infamous Metropolitan Detention Center, where Sean Combs is also being held.
Some of his friends are stepping up to help, but others are wary of getting involved. 6ix9ine's history of public feuds and unpredictable behavior has made it difficult for him to find genuine support. The same bravado that made him a star has now left him isolated and desperate.
For Tekashi, 6ix9ine is one step closer to being released from jail this morning. A deal with federal prosecutors calls for the entertainer to serve 1 month in jail, followed by a month of home detention. Tekashi 6ix9ine was almost free from court supervision when he was arrested last week for violating the terms of his release after a felony conviction. The deal also calls for him to submit to supervision from the court's probation department for another year.
The rapper's financial troubles reportedly began after he was released from prison in 2020. Despite attempts to revive his career, his music has failed to resonate with audiences the way it once did. Insiders reveal that 6ix9ine has been living beyond his means, spending millions on luxury cars, jewelry, and extravagant parties. Now, it seems the bills have come due, and the rapper is struggling to keep up.
Rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine appeared in court in the Dominican Republic today. The rapper, whose real name is Daniel Hernandez, was arrested on domestic violence charges Wednesday. The judge postponed the hearing until the rapper's attorney could prepare a defense. Hernandez has had a history of legal trouble, but has also been the victim of violence. He was assaulted in a South Florida gym last year.
He's in a really bad place right now, one source said. He's desperate and doesn't know where to turn. And then there's his legal situation. If 6ix9ine fails to meet his financial obligations, he could be facing lawsuits and potentially more legal trouble. His creditors might not be as forgiving as his fans once were, and the financial pressure could lead to a very bleak situation.
A polarizing personality, well known among the Latin community, with tens of millions of followers on social media worldwide.
All right, the ex-girlfriend of rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine making headlines again tonight, slapping him with a revenge porn lawsuit that has a lot of people talking. Jessica Formoso sat down with the Spanish-speaking artist about fame and misfortune.
Born Georgina Guillermo Diaz, the Dominican rapper and singer is known to her fans and the rest of the world as Yailin La Más Viral. Yailin La Más Viral started her artistic career 3 years ago. She was born and raised in the Dominican Republic. She had a tough childhood. She was a dancer before she launched as a rapper. And at 22 years old, she now has almost 12 million followers on Instagram alone. How has your life changed in these last 3 years? Everyone in life has gone through difficult times, and I thank God that right now I am mentally well.
Friends and associates of 6ix9ine have been quick to express their concern, calling the situation heartbreaking and unfortunate. They argue that the rapper has made mistakes but deserves a second chance. However, others close to the industry suggest that 6ix9ine's struggles are a direct result of his actions and the notoriety surrounding his career. Legal experts weigh in, suggesting that the rapper's financial troubles could have serious implications for his future. potentially leading to bankruptcy or even more legal issues.
Waited 47 years in prison by cooperating with the feds.
He snitched.
And now he's back in
the
federal
jail
custody.
in Brooklyn with all the same borough where he snitched at? Are they crazy?
Yeah.
There's no way they putting him in general population, though. Come on, y'all. You think so?
Yeah, well, even if not, you don't think he can be touched?
I don't know. But his
like, that's crazy.
He'd be a snack in there.
Oh, with all the colorful hair? Is that what?
I'm just talking. I meant to.
Like,
I should have just said food, but he.
Okay. I'm like, snack. I don't know why. When you said snack, I started thinking like, Skittles,
rainbow.
M&Ms.
The judge didn't see none of that?
Okay, so let's back up. So his attorney, Lance Lazario, told TMZ and a few other outlets that Tekashi was actually notified 2 weeks ago that he violated the terms of his probation, and he was ordered to appear before a federal judge in New York yesterday. He was an hour late to the hearing, and the judge dispatched U.S. Marshals to find him.
Dang.
Tekashi then arrived on his own and surrendered voluntarily.
Social media reactions have been mixed. Some fans are showing sympathy, remembering the difficult childhood and struggles he faced before fame. Others, however, are less forgiving. They point to his past actions, his snitching during his trial, and the way he seemed to relish in stirring up drama. It's clear that while 6ix9ine's fall from grace has some feeling sorry for him, others see it as karma coming full circle. Insiders say that 6ix9ine is considering all possible avenues to get back on his feet.
To travel, he just kind of didn't let people know far enough in advance. That seems to me less of a serious violation. One other thing about this jail term could potentially have been several months on each violation. I think up to 3 months maybe for each violation. And the judge was willing to, I think, give him several months, but ultimately backed off because Tekashi had been in the box, right? He'd been in the SHU, the segregated housing unit, basically solitary. You know, the judge has something in his order that he went down that he said, told the Bureau of Prisons, you've got to get this guy out of there. Like, that's inhumane. The judge ultimately doesn't have any control over that, right? The Bureau of Prisons sort of does what it wants. But that was a big factor in why Tekashi only got 15 days more than the state was asking for, as opposed to several months more than what the state was asking for.
And now that he's back in jail, do you think that he still has a target on his back, possibly from other gang members?
I mean, he certainly thinks so. I think that
he's reportedly looking into everything from crowdfunding campaigns to potential collaborations with independent artists who might still be willing to work with him. But let's be honest, that's a long shot. The industry is not known for its forgiveness, and 6ix9ine's notoriety may be more of a hindrance than a help at this point. This isn't just a story about 6ix9ine. It's about the broader issues of fame, fortune, and accountability in the music industry.
Until very recently, I think now he's in Pennsylvania, but up until very recently was in New York and was a very sort of well-known prisoner, right? When he was at MCC a couple years ago, the federal jail in Manhattan, this one of the people Tekashi testified against, he ran a contraband ring, right? And ultimately got arrested for that, and now is serving additional time for that, pled guilty to that. So, yes, I think certainly Tekashi seemed concerned. He seemed concerned about this one particular guy who I mentioned up until very recently was in this jail. Now is not, but, maybe has friends or associates. We don't know. I'm it's speculation at this point. But yes, I think certainly there is potentially a very real danger of him being in a federal jail in New York City. For most of the time he was in jail while his trial was playing out, he was not in a regular federal jail. He was very briefly, but then he was moved, we later found out, to kind of a special prison.
The rapper's downfall has sparked important conversations about how artists manage their wealth and the pressures of living in the public eye. Some are calling for greater financial literacy among celebrities, while others argue that 6ix9ine's situation is a cautionary tale about the dangers of excess and poor decision-making. And if you think that's all, you'd be wrong. 6ix9ine is also facing personal issues. There are rumors that his relationships with family and close friends have become strained, possibly due to his financial woes.
Government, do you think in a way he thought maybe being on the outside and being released, he wouldn't be touched again as far as going back, or at all the possibility that he could go back to jail?
Look, I don't know his psychology, right? I've only ever spoken to him briefly. I don't know that much about what he was thinking, but if you look at his behavior, I think certainly there was not a ton of difference in his sort of public persona between the guy before and after. The crimes and the using the gang to rob people and all of that was obviously completely gone, all of the stuff he did prior to his arrest. But the general sort of, antagonistic, I do what I want, I'm throwing money around kind of persona was very much still there.
And in your opinion, do you think that Tekashi 6ix9ine will ever, in a way, clean up his act?
People close to him are worried that he might spiral further into depression if he doesn't find a way out soon. Those mental health concerns add yet another layer to this unfolding drama. As the story continues to unfold, one question looms large. What's next for 6ix9ine? Will he be able to bounce back from this low point? Or is this the end of his career? And how will this shocking turn of events impact his public image and legacy? For now, all eyes are on the rapper as the world waits to see how he will navigate this difficult chapter in his life. What do you think? Can 6ix9ine bounce back from this? Is this just another chapter in his unpredictable story? Or is the curtain closing for good? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.